So hello everyone, welcome here to the Subaru Pre-Race Show for round number 10 of the 2014B NASA RallyCross Challenge season here at the Irwindale Speedway in Irwindale, California. As it's Josh Mertz bringing you the call, as always, for the Automotive Sports Network today, as we are getting ready for the 10th and final round, as mentioned, of this 2014B season, and it's been quite a season to remember for the NASA RallyCross Challenge. We've had 3 different winners in 9 different races. As crazy as that sounds, that is the least amount of winners, but I'll tell you that with those 3 winners, we've had unpredictability. I don't know what else to describe it, really. I mean, we've had just an incredible season, and it's looked kind of like this. At the first round of the season in Croft, we had Erdman, who had a terrible race. I think he finished 6th, and then it was Mertz, who snuck the lead from Livingood, who was battling with Daniel Bellamy. The following week in the Netherlands, we had that red flag midway through the race, and it caused a revolutionary single-file restart with 4 laps to go under that bridge on the pit straight. Mertz bumped his teammate out of the way and tried to hound Dylan Livingood, but they ended up tied at the end of that race with 39 points. In Island Rally, it came unglued for the regular title protagonists, like the title protagonists from past seasons, I should say, as Livingood bumped Mertz while running in second on lap number 2, and it allowed Erdman to coast away with the victory, and that still had them tied, as I believe Livingood won his heat and Mertz did not. Germany, the following week, it was the same result, but it was flipped as Mertz won his heat, finished 5th, and Erdman cruised to another victory, and you would think that was unprecedented with a 3-way tie, but it gets better. In Canada, the following week, Livingood was in second. Erdman, once again for the 3rd time this season, was just gone from the rest of the field. Mertz had to catch him, and going into turn number 1 on the final lap, Mertz tried the inside. He got the inside. Livingood turned in and wrecked. So that is halfway through the season so far, and Erdman, you would think, with his momentum, is going to pull away from everybody, but it wasn't the case. As Livingood won in Talladega, Mertz got turned by Tanner Smith on the start, but he clawed his way back to 3rd place, and this was the beginning, actually St. Eustache was, of his 5 consecutive podium run, and this was, I believe, the first race that all 3 of them were on the podium this season. And this is where the championship possibly became unglued for Dylan Livingood. The following week, up in Canyon City, Colorado, the hometown favorite crashed into the tire barrier at the opening of the pit lane, and it allowed MRT to cruise to a double podium finish. Ironically, if Erdman would have held that 1-2 finish, this championship would be a lot different going into this race. But he did not. He crashed into the wall, and it allowed Wets to get by him. As Mertz, everyone took to the jump on the first lap, as we all remember. Mertz did not, and it allowed him to run in clean air, and the Subarus love the clean air, as we saw last week in Riverside. He snuck around Livingood and Erdman as they were battling, and it allowed him to cruise to the victory after Livingood crashed. In Bent Twig, Livingood clawed it back, but he is very, very close here. But the difference here is, you notice the green boxes, those are non-podium finishes. He's only got 4, and the rest of them are 4th and 5th place finishes. So it's not a very good thing for Dylan Livingood, but the 3 wins are keeping him alive. As Bent Twig, he was faster than everybody. And Mertz got close, but he ran out of time, as Erdman had issues for the first time this season, really, aside from the first 2 races and his slow start. He was unable to catch the podium as he had issues going over the jump. And then last week in Riverside, the championship is possibly out of Dylan Livingood's reach, as an engine failure after the 2 came together has left Livingood hating car number 81. They are the best of friends off the track, but you put those helmets on, and he just wants to kill him, honestly. I mean, you don't want to say that. He doesn't mean that in a serious manner. I should say. But he just wants to kill him, as in stuff him into the wall and make sure the car doesn't move. Because Livingood is mad. He wants a 5th championship and a 2nd consecutive. But with that incident, he believes that Mertz possibly cost him the championship. I mean, it's politics all over the place. This race is going to be insanity because if Living Good gets to Mertz, Mertz is going to get dumped and Erdman's going to win the championship. As you see there, the bottom two, it's pretty much a winner-take-all scenario. Looking at this graphic, I think what Living Good needs to do to have a hope of winning the championship is to win the race, and the MRT drivers have to finish 5th and 6th. And they don't do that most of the time. So unfortunately, Dylan Livingood is probably out of this championship, but he is going to drive like he has a shot. He has an outside shot, but everything has to go right for the Canadian. And if you look at the bottom two lines there, the season's just it's not going to come together for Livingood because Mertz has been on the podium the last 5 weeks. Erdman's been on a tear. So who knows what will happen, but here's the track that we are racing on tonight, and it's the Irwindale Speedway. Revolution Racing has swept all 3 races. Wetz won twice, Livingood won once. 2013 C and 2014 A round 1 here. They had the doubleheader. It was where Wetz snuck the points lead away and then blew it going into the chicane on the penultimate lap to lose that potential championship and give Livingood his 4th championship for Revolution Racing. So with that, I believe we are ready to go to the seeding round. So let us do that as Dylan Livingood was fastest in the practice session in car number 81 or 51, I should say. There he is. As he pulls away in car number 51. So we're going to see here what the quadruple champion can do in his seeding lap as he crosses the line to begin his lap in car number 51. Very, very tricky. You have to stay underneath that white line on the apex to be fast. As through the chicane, very tricky. You have to sneak it through those tire barriers. You pretty much have to snake your car around. As he comes around the dirt corner, back onto the oval. Let's see what he can do. 21.698 for the Canadian. As we will go now to Cody Erdman. Second in the actually leading the championship by a point over his teammate. As the 3 title protagonists are the top 3. As Erdman a little slower through turns 1 and 2 of the NASCAR oval. As he will duck down into the infield of the Irwindale Speedway. Brake lock up and he hits the wall! And this is not a good thing to try and get his championship as his teammate is gone. Beginning his lap, we will see what Erdman does. But the black Subaru has returned for Mertz, and you know Mertz wants to get a 3rd pole position in 2014 B. As he brakes for the chicane, locking him up is car number 81. You see Erdman there crosses the line. That will put him last, most definitely, unless someone has an issue. But he had to complete that lap in order for timing and scoring to allow it at the line. Mertz, what does he do? A 22.113, so 0.5 of a second slower than Dylan Livingood. As here's the junior Subaru, Tristan Hagenstein, car number 83. Potentially, words in the paddock that Cody Erdman will not return to Red Bull Subaru MRT, so this is potentially the driver of car number 2 if Mertz wins the championship. If not, a new team will hold car number 1 next season. As that's never happened. Car number 1 has been with MRT or Revolution the whole series history. As Hagenstein crosses the line, 21.912. He goes faster than his double champion teammate and almost got close to Livingood. Daniel Bellamy, the private Subaru, car number 125. The No Fear Subaru sliding it. There he goes into the grass. Looks like he's going to have issues as well. I don't know if they're sending the next driver out or not. And no, they are not. Those are the 3 Mitsubishis and the Volkswagen. Rounding the infield, which would be the exit of the pit lane on the oval. Let's see what Bellamy does. 25.191 for the No Fear car. And Brandon Nicholson in car number 37, his 2nd race this season. The defending Privateer Cup champion. But he had to give that title up last week in Riverside to Tristan Hagenstein. Hagenstein locked up that title as soon as Casey Lester did not transfer through to the final. But Nicholson has shown improvement. Yes, he crashed in the LCQ. Yes, he crashed in his heat. But those laps that he was running in practice showed progress for the American. As with two-car teams coming back to the fore, I'm unsure if Nicholson will go back to Revolution Junior with a 24.166. So that puts him in fourth. And here's Doug DeNice in the Eneos Volkswagen Polo RX. The fourth time a Volkswagen has been seen this season, and I think they were all from him. As the Volkswagen Works team with Brandon Lambert. Lambert's been having issues getting funding, I believe, which resulted in him not running this season, which is unfortunate. It has left us with two champions. And I think DeNice just wants to get a lap done as he is very slow. Or just something's not working on this Volkswagen to get him to top speed. It's a 23.701, slower, but faster than Nicholson, though. Slower than Mertz, so fourth place for DeNice. And the man who's been defeated for the past 2 seasons in the Privateer Cup for 2 different teams, and you know he wants to try and get a Privateer Cup title. With 3-car teams, I'm pretty sure, with 3-car teams and with Hagenstein potentially running for MRT, this guy is going to be the favorite. As he has the never-give-up attitude. So you know he wants to win the title. But out of the final corner, defeated again, but in seating, he runs a 23.434, and that has him fastest of the true privateers, as we don't really call Hagenstein a privateer, nor do we call this guy a privateer, because this guy basically is running for Revolution Racing, a final car in seating. Words in the paddock that Livingood's so mad he might not even return next season. So this guy might take over for the lead status at Revolution Racing, and that might actually render 3-car teams pointless, but we will keep you updated over the offseason. Tanner Smith, what can he do in seating? 22.814, slower than everybody. Well, slower than, let's see if timing and scoring updates. No, he's slower than Mertz. So here is the final results from seating here in Irwindale. Livingood 21.698, Hagenstein 9.12, the only 2 cars in the 21-second bracket. Mertz and Smith 22.113 and 8.14. Lester 23.434, DeNice a 7.01. Nicholson 24.166, Bellamy a 25.191, and Erdman with his issues going into the chicane 32.897. For car number 82, not a good way to potentially win this championship. You need to be on your game in order to win it. As heat number 1 getting gridded up and ready to go here. As here it is. For the final first heat in 2014B, we have 2 of the title protagonists in this heat. Livingood's on pole, winner of seeding. Erdman second, Hagenstein third, and the private Subaru of Bellamy in the 4th position. The format's the same. We're running 4 laps for this heat, getting ready to go, and it's lights out and away we go. And off the line, rounding turns 3 and 4 of the NASCAR Irwindale Oval to start lap number 1. It's Livingood at the line. Erdman wants to get this heat win. He needs every single bonus point he can. It would stretch his lead to 2 points. Bellamy with issues in car number 125. The chicane, very tricky. Livingood runs it wide, hits Hagenstein, so this allows Erdman to fly out and away from the rest of the field. 3 laps to go. The inside lane here is the Joker. I should have mentioned in the circuit diagram. I don't think I did it too well. If you go up on this tabletop through the true infield of the Irwindale course, back down, and then the banked corner. It's a hit or miss as to whether or not it's faster or not. It really depends on how you pull it off. With 2 laps to go, it looks like Erdman pulled it off very well in car number 82. As Livingood now tries his hand, 22.139, and his last lap was a 23.105, so it's about a second slower. But it all depends on how you can take the Joker. As I think the battle is going to be for the transfer spot, as Erdman looks like to be flying away from everybody else as he crosses the line for the white flag. In his final heat of the championship this season, can he win it? or will something catastrophic happen? The battle is for this spot because Hagenstein is battling with Livingood. Hagenstein has the spot and he turns in just like he did on Mertz in Canada. As Erdman's going around the corner, that's going to be a certain disqualification in the heat. Livingood will be in the LCQ as he cut the track. Hagenstein transfers through. As here comes Bellamy in car number 125 to take the 4th spot, as we're going to take a look and from the helicopter and see what happened between Livingood and Hagenstein, as these two have come together a lot this season. As from the helicopter, Hagenstein undercut him going into the corner, and we're going to slow it down right here. He was completely alongside, and that would be his corner then. Looks like Livingood locked up the brakes, hit him in the door. Hagenstein did a good job of making the corner, but Livingood did not and cut the track, and you're supposed to turn around and get around those tire barriers. And he did not do that. So he does not transfer through. Hagenstein instead does in car number 83. So 2 consecutive transfers for the Dutchman. After a couple of weeks of not transferring, he was very frustrated in Negus and Bent Twig. He did transfer in Negus, but he didn't transfer in Bent Twig after getting taken out, I believe, in the LCQ. Here's the other title protagonist, and it's Josh Mertz back in the black Subaru this week. He's going to battle with Brandon Nicholson, Tanner Smith, Doug DeNice, and Casey Lester. So realistically, his only threat is Tanner Smith. And I know Livingood and Erdman are very mad at this, because by finishing 3rd in seating, he gets it with all the privateers. So you have a manufacturer car battling 4 privateers and getting ready to go for heat number 2. Revving them up, it's lights out, and away we go. And off the line, it's going to be Smith battling with Mertz. Lester poked his nose in. And here we go, beginning lap number 1. You know Mertz wants to get by Smith as fast as he can to get this bonus point to make it a 1-point advantage from his team, or 1-point advantage for his teammate instead of 2. Smith bangs it off the wall, and that's going to give the lead to Mertz, and now it's going to be a battle for the transfer spot, like usual. Although I don't know if there's enough clean air for the Subaru to actually work as he goes to the Joker at the end of lap number 1. Locks up the left front as Nicholson, Lester, and DeNice also follow him, so we'll follow Tanner Smith and see if Smith, who ran a 23.402, can hold off the 81 who ran a 22.832. A 0.6 of a second difference. Will the Joker play into effect? Yes, very close to taking each other out. 22.578 for Smith, 23.519. So it is a second difference in the Joker. So if you want to try and hold the lead, you have to have a second buffer. Smith bounces it off the wall, so that's not going to be too nice for him. As rounding the final corner to begin the final lap here, let's see if Smith can take the fight to car number 81 and get a bonus point, although the bonus point for him is pointless. 22.351 for Mertz, fastest man on the circuit right now. Smith's getting close. No, he just blew it. He ran it wide just like he did on the start. It's a 1-point advantage for Erdman as Mertz wins heat number 2. Smith transfers through. Best of the rest, Lester will be in the 3rd spot. 4th place, DeNice. And 5th place will be Brandon Nicholson in car number 37. As the LCQ now, it's going to be a 3-lap brawl, and Livingood is in this heat, or in this LCQ, I should say. So this will be good to see if he can make it through. As everyone in the paddock getting prepared and ready, we can go over this. We only have 9 cars, so ignore that 10-car graphic. It's the last race of the season, who cares? We've already done the heats, which were two heats for 4 laps apiece. The top 2 advanced. The others are in this race, which is the last chance qualifier. The top 2 advance from this race. The rest are awarded points. The final will be the 6 drivers who will run for 8 laps. And this is your grid. The front row for the LCQ. Bellamy, Nicholson, Livingood, Lester. So 3 Mitsubishis, a Subaru, and then the Volkswagen of DeNice is on the back row of the grid. So 4 privateers and 1 manufacturer car. And Chris Wetz is actually not here. I think something's broken on that Mitsubishi Tour. He will not be able to race until 2015A as it's lights out and away we go. So there are only 3 manufacturer cars in this race, and it makes MRT's job a whole lot easier. As we begin lap number 1 of 3, and it's Dylan Livingood who leads. Brandon Nicholson, strangely, is in second. I told you that he had pace in that Mitsubishi on the Yokohama tires. Maybe the Yokohama tires work so much better than everyone else's. As we round the final corner to have 2 laps to go in the LCQ. As Livingood pulling away, Nicholson follows his teammate. Bellamy does, Lester does. The only car that does not go to the Joker is Denice, as around was Bellamy. As Livingood bounces it off the wall. Nicholson does not, Bellamy does, and this is getting really good. Can Brandon Nicholson possibly win this LCQ? He's 0.4 of a second slower than Livingood. But it's the final lap, and it looks like Brandon Nicholson might make his first final ever. As Livingood's pulling away, he was 0.6 of a second again slower, but he was faster than everybody else. From the spectator camera high above the grandstand, Livingood leading. Where is Denice in all of this? He's nowhere close. Rounding the final corner, it's going to be Livingood who transfers, and Nicholson wins and gets through to the final, I should say, not wins. 7th place Bellamy, 8th place Lester, 9th place Denice. As I don't think Livingood is celebrating for himself, but he's celebrating for his former junior driver who makes his first final in the NASA RallyCross Challenge, and rightfully so to celebrate, is Brandon Nicholson. As it's not very often that you see a driver make it through and actually celebrate for it, as numerous drivers make their first final and never do anything about it. So now it's the final 8 laps of the 2014 B season, and I say this every single season. Are you ready for this? The grid for round number 10 of the NASA RallyCross Challenge. The 3 title protagonists, Erdman Mertz, on the first 2 grids, then it's Hagenstein and Tanner Smith. And then on the back row of the grid, we have Livingood and Nicholson in cars number 51 and 37. The black and silver cars with the Red Bull logos are realistically the only shots for this championship. They have to finish 5th and 6th, and Livingood actually would not be able to win the championship as he did not win his heat. They would be tied. Erdman would win the championship. So realistically, all we are going to focus on is the Red Bull Subaru MRT teammates. We did it last season with the Revolution teammates, and I can't believe that we're already going to complete a 3rd full season here in the Automotive Sports Network. It's been a blast, getting ready to go for round number 10, and it's lights out and away we go. And off the line, Erdman with the start. He needed to keep ahead of his teammate. Remember, it's a winner-take-all scenario between the 2 teammates. Starting lap number 1, to the Joker goes Erdman, to the Joker goes Livingood. This will leave Mertz leading Hagenstein, Nicholson, and Smith on the regular course. Going into the chicane for the first time, Hagenstein knows he's not to touch his teammates. But you figure normally they are best of friends. Now they hate each other. They don't want anything to do with each other. As Mertz leads at the end of lap 1, Erdman will follow his teammate into the Joker. Smith, Nicholson as well. Around the regular course, Hagenstein with Livingood. As Mertz holding the lead, 22.275, fastest man on the circuit. Smith at 23.064, 0.8 of a second faster than everyone else. So you know he wants to hold this lead. Beginning lap number 3, and now this is going to get good. I believe Mertz has 1 Joker left. Hagenstein, Smith go to the Joker. So now it's these 2. Erdman 23.018. Livingood has done a 22.136. Erdman all over the track over the jump, as he is faster by 1/10 of a second over Mertz, but Mertz goes to the Joker again. 22.193. For the Subaru. He's getting close, but I don't think he'll be able, as Hagenstein's flipped. We're going to try and take a look at that later. He will have to get off the track. Stewards are not liking that. The marshals will tend to the car and get him off the track. So we have 5 cars left. Crossed flags being shown for Mertz in car number 81. One of these drivers are going to run car number 1 next season, but one of them will be for MRT, and one of them will be for Area 52 and for Volkswagens. As Erdman now wants his first ever championship, but you know Mertz wants his third. The last time he won a championship, it was quite the celebration, as 3 laps to go in this season. And we saw in 2013C, Mertz had to come home second to Wetz, but if he wins, he will win this in style, and that's the second time he did that. He did that at the South Proving Grounds in 2012B. He won the race on the final corner of the final lap as he took his joker there. As 2 laps to go for the German to win his third championship. Living Good is only in third. That is nowhere close to winning, helping him win the championship. As Mertz now racing very, very slowly, as Erdman got really close as he jumped over that jump. He got close, but it didn't matter. As the white flag of the season, we have half a mile left, and Cody Erdman has to make something happen in order to win this championship, but he will not wreck his teammate. Mertz does not do what Wetz does 1 season ago. Erdman dives it onto the jump, but can't make it happen. Can he get something done in the final corner? No! And he's a Triple Crown champion as Mertz wins at Irwindale, and the 2014B Drivers' Championship is his. Erdman finishes second. Living Good caps off a season in third. 4th place to Tanner Smith. 5th place will be Brandon Nicholson. As Erdman celebrates, Mertz does as well, and Hagenstein emerges from the pit lane after the marshal flipped his car, and he will celebrate with the team owner, potentially driving car number 2. Actually, not a potentially, he will drive car number 2 next season, as for a 3rd time, Mertz burns the house down, and for the 2nd time in Irwindale, as he wins the 2014B Drivers' Championship. And with that, it is time for this graphic, the Royal Purple Post-Race Show. And for the official results here, it's Mertz who wins the race in Irwindale, his 12th career victory. Actually forgot to do that graphic while he was celebrating. 12th career win, and it reties him with Living Good, but with Living Good's semi-retirement, potentially Mertz will break away with his record once again. Erdman's second. This is Mertz's 6th podium in a row, and 7th of the season. Actually, I think it's his 8th. The only time he finished off the podium was Germany and Island Rally. So 8 podiums in a season. That breaks Wetz's record of 7 last season. Erdman finishes 2nd. Living Good finishes 3rd. Tanner Smith 4th, the best privateer. Brandon Nicholson in his first final finishes 5th. Not a bad run from him. And Tristan Hagenstein, we will take a look after the points that we go over as to what happened actually after these final points here. After these results. Bellamy finishes 7th, best of the rest. Lester 8th, and Denice in 9th. So while we have a moment, let's try and figure out what happened to Tristan Hagenstein while we remember. So I think he was following his team owner, and he was in 3rd, I believe. And let's see, from the helicopter here, in half speed, he's battling with Tanner Smith. I believe this is on lap 3, and he hits the brakes. Smith doesn't, bashes into him, and then he just flips him over. So not very friendly from Tanner Smith to Tristan Hagenstein. Those two really don't like each other. That's the wrong... There you go. Sorry about that. It's the last race of the season. Why does it even matter? So here we go. The Drivers' Championship. After 10 rounds, and it looks like that. Mertz wins his 3rd Drivers' Championship and will get car number 1 back. And you can say that he's not going to be in the championship hunt next season, because we remember last season how awful that was. I think it was 8th spot and 68 points after 6 races. So, 173, that resets the record that Living Good reset. Erdman 171, Living Good 160. 160 was the amount of points Mertz had in his last championship. So 13 more points in this season. And you can see how far away they were all season from everyone else. Tanner Smith, 127. Chris Wetz, 121, who did not race this evening. Tristan Hagenstein, 113. Lester, 86. 2nd place in privateers as the 4 manufacturer cars, 1, 2, 3, 5. Tanner Smith ran half of a season in a manufacturer car. Lester, 86. Bellamy, 84. Keith Sherman, who did not race, I believe, since Bent Twig, finishes ninth place in points, 31. Nick Kars was last seen at Talladega with 28 points. Robert Penko was last seen in Germany. He has 26th and 11th. Doug DeNice ran tonight, 12th place with 25 points. Maurice Pigeon ran a couple races earlier in the season for the Citroen team. Then the Citroen team dissolved and he disappeared, 13th place with 23. Gabriel Messina, I believe, last ran an island rally. Then the funds dried up from Brazil, 14th place and 21. Brandon Nicholson has 20 points in those two races that he ran last week and this week. And Ben Atkins and Josh Batista, 16th and 18th, one-off drives for Island Rally, 15 and 10 points. And Jake Piepal ran one race at the beginning of the season in Croft, had an engine failure, and then I believe he could not make it to the track in Valkenswaard. And that was his season run. As the Constructors' Championship, after 10 rounds, 344 points for Red Bull Subaru MRT, 279 for Revolution Racing, and there's the aforementioned Citroen team, who ran up until St. Eustache. Then the Citroen funds dried up, and Tanner Smith said, "Your cars are crap." And that's why Mertz left. And Citroen had to withdraw the manufacturer support, and we haven't seen a Citroen since St. Eustache. So they had 95 points up until that point. And the Manufacturers' Championship, 197. Subaru, 171. Mitsubishi, Citroen, and Ford have 66. They haven't had a car in a few weeks. And then Volkswagen, 33 points with Doug DeNice. As the Privateer Cup. The Privateer Cup for drivers and his third championship, Tristan Hagenstein, 163. This championship uses their own drivers' scoring. If you're the highest privateer, you get 20 points, second place 17, etc., etc. As the officials used to use their driver points, and then they realized if one random privateer wins a race, they pretty much have the championship on lock if they run the rest of the season, or if the privateers are in the back of the field. Casey Lester, 137. This championship was settled in Riverside, but let's go through the graphic anyway. Bellamy, 124. Tanner Smith, 94 after half of a season in his Mitsubishi. Keith Sherman, 51. Nick Kars, 48. Robert Penko, 43. Gabriel Messina, 37. Doug DeNice, 37. And Brandon Nicholson, 29. Two drivers that aren't shown, 11th and 12th. Batista and Ben Atkins, as they only ran the one race in Island Rally. As the Nations Cup, this is a new record, 197 for Germany, 159 for Canada. The United States, for the first time ever, is not in the top two spots in the Nations Cup, 138 for them. Norway has 126, Netherlands 116, and Great Britain and Brazil haven't had a driver since the beginning of the season, 34 and 15. The Tires Cup, Bridgestone, 197. All these championships were locked up because of MRT's dominating season, 197 for them. 166 for Hoosier, Michelin with 107, BF Goodrich 83, Toyo had 62, Yokohama 20, and Pirelli had one race, and I believe it was Batista who ran Pirelli tires, finished third. So actually it was Ben Atkins, 15 points, and the only race for Pirelli this season. So with that is the end of a championship. And the NASA RallyCross officials have a lot of restructuring to do because these past 2 weeks have been drama-filled, politics-filled, anything-filled that is not exactly the best with low car counts. So we don't know when the next season is going to happen for the NASA RallyCross Challenge. So you'll just have to pay attention to our ASN Facebook page. We'll let you know. And realistically, it should be in a couple months. They can't go long without their RallyCross. But anyway, the 8th NASA RallyCross Challenge season is complete. We have a repeat champion, and next season will be great, as I've heard a bunch of new tracks will arrive to the schedule. So who knows what will happen. But for everyone here at ASN, congratulations to Josh Mertz and MRT. 7 wins in a season. I believe it was 4 or 5 1-2 finishes for the team. So a bunch of new records, and car number 1 will return to the Austrian squad in 2015A. But like I said, from everyone here at ASN, thank you for watching all season. We'll see you eventually, and so long, everyone!